talked about the load balancers theory in the previous video, and today we are going to do the demonstration. Hello everyone, my name is Arun and let's get started. So you can see I have this VM, test VM1, and I have test VM2. These two VMs have their own public IP right here, and if I try to browse this public IP address, there is an IIS running which says hello Pachehra talks from VM1 ASR. Okay, and if I go to test VM2 and take its public IP and run it in the cognitive window and see what it says ASR VM2. So that means I have two separate VM with the two IIS running saying different things as per the VM. So what we are going to do, we are going to add these machines in the backend pool of the load balancer. So first we will create the load balancer and then we will configure all the components that we talked about in the previous video. All right, so let's get started. So this is the load balancers window from where we are going to create it. Just search load balancer here, or you will find here, you click here, this window will appear. You need to select the resource group. As always, for all the resources in Azure, we gotta select the resource group. Let's give it a name, test LB PIP, public, P for public. Let's put it public. In the North Europe, because my VMs are in the North Europe. Now I told you there are two types of load balancers, internal and public. We talked about it. Public is to cater the traffic which is coming from the internet, and internal within the virtual network. Okay. Now we got two kind of virtual load balancer, basic and standard. Standard is the new one with more features, and basic is the old one, few less features. So let's do the basic first, then we'll talk about standard in later videos. So it's asking for what you want to put the name for the public IP address. Let me see if I have any existing IP address. Better utilize the existing one. And okay, it picked the existing one. So I had one IP already. So let's review and create. So the validation is passed. Let's create. It will take some time and I'll be back. Or you can see the resource has been deployed successfully. Let's go to the resource. This is our test LB public. That's what the name that we provided. As of now, nothing is configured, no backend pool, no health probe, no load balancing rule, and there is no net rules. We only have the public IP address which we chose during the creation of this load balancer. So let's go to the left side. Front-end IP, it is there, backend pool. We got to add the backend pool, the VM test VM1 and test VM2 we already seen, and also check the IIS configured there. Let's call is back pool virtual network right there. Now there is something I wanted to tell you. If your virtual machines are not a part of availability set, you cannot add more than one machine here. And both the machine test VM1 and test VM2 are part of availability set. Only then I am able to add both the machines at the back end. So what all come as the back end for the basic Azure load balancer? Single virtual machine, multiple virtual machine when they are the part of availability set, and VMSS. You can see here VMSS. All right, let's click add. Now it is submitting the deployment. It would take a couple of seconds. All right, so after a couple of minutes actually, I have my backend pools. All the two machines are here. And now it sent the notification, but I was able to see it. Okay, let's go and configure the health probe. If you remember, health probe is something which will let your load balancer know the health of your backend virtual machine. We talked about it in the previous video. Let's give the name probe 1. It will use TCP protocol and it will go on port 80 after 5 seconds or seconds. And to unhealthy threshold will let the load balancer know it's unhealthy backend VM. Okay, let's click OK. You can choose the HTTP as well for the health probe. Now it's updating. It will take a minute or two. Then we need to configure the load balancing rules. You can see the add button is grayed out because it is still updating for the probe. Now while it's updating, let me show you. If I go to the networking on these virtual machines, which are the back end of this load balancer, you'll find the default rule 65001, which says Azure Load Balancer as source. So this is a part of default rule. That is the only reason load balancer probe can talk to the backend machine on TCP 80, because it is any to any. All right. You'll also find there are environments where even this rule is not allowed. So you gotta be very cautious. If your load balancer is not working, you need to go and check your networking rules. Okay. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. Hopefully it should be okay. Still updating. So let's wait and I'll be back. All right, finally it's updated. It took a couple of minutes. All right, so let's go and add the load balancing rules. That was the third component even in our theory part. Give it a name, let's say rule 1. Now here you can choose multiple front-end IPs if you have added. That means for the same load balancer you can use multiple front-end IP addresses and you can add different backend pools. You need not to create multiple load balancer, but you can use the same load balancer for the multiple backend pools with a different IP, front-end and backend, right? So for this particular demonstration, this is our front-end IP address. So anything which comes on port 80 will go on the back-end port 80. And where in the backend port? Backend pool. We got two virtual machine. This is our health probe, which will, you know what it will do. All right, here we have the session persistent. If you remember, we talked about the 5 tuple hash, and 2 or 3 hash can help you out to persist this session. If your request is going to one of the particular machine, it will stay there. It will not be round robin. It will be to the same VM, but we are not doing it right now. We did talk about this as well, like all the features of load balancer in the previous video. Let's click OK. Now our load balancing rule is configured, or it's configuring. This will decide how the load will balance between these two VM, which port and what front-end IP address. Now it is updating. It will take 1 minute or two. So let's wait. All right, we got the notification. Load balancer rule is saved. So our load balancer is configured for the balancing of the load. Okay. So let's go ahead and check what is our front-end IP. Refresh. This is a front-end IP. Let's copy it. Go to the incognito. Run it. There we go. It says this VM. Okay. VM2. Let's refresh it a couple of times. It should also go to the VM1. Maybe it is coming from the cache now. Let me close this. Or let me open this one. This might help us. Where did it go? Okay, maybe I did something wrong. All right. Okay. All right, let me try here. Okay, come on. Ah, you see that? VM1. Same IP address. So it was going on VM2 when we ran on this Cognito, and when we ran in a Mozilla Cognito, it went on the VM1. So it is balancing the load. Now, two things I want to show you here. If I go to the VM1, you see, let's go to the load balancer. We have .186 IP here. .186, if you see the same IP that load balancer is. Right now it says the old IP. It is showing the old IPs, but if I refresh, it will start showing the load balancer's IP. You see? So now load balancer's IP is the one which is connected to these VMs. All right, cool. So this is one thing, and there is one more thing that we can do is the NAT rules. It is very simple. You gotta create NAT, and we are doing the port forwarding here. Give it NAT1 front-end IP address, service custom, port, let's choose 443. Associated to this, let's choose virtual machine 1, this one, and let's custom the port 3389. So what we have done here, if a request for 443 along with this IP address comes, then it would be forwarded to the 3389 port on this machine. Let's click OK. And now, because we do not have the old public IP, we have the load balancer's public IP on this VM, on TM VM1, you can see right here. So we will try to RDP this VM with the help of the load balancer's public IP address on port 443. That's what we used here. Okay. Let me refresh. Still updating. So let's wait for a minute or two. All right, so it took a little time, but our NAT rule is saved, and now we are ready to take the RDP on target VM, that is test VM1, with the help of port 443 and this IP address. Okay, let's go to the MSTSC and write down 52.169.76.186 and 443. Okay, let's try to connect. All right, we got the prompt to connect. That's all we needed, right? And we are able to log into the test VM1 with the help of public IP address and port 443. All right, well, I think that's all about it. We have talked about all the components and features. We configured all the components and features. So that's all about the basic load balancer. Let's meet in another video, and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.